Section 5.2, example 5, identifying the degree and leading coefficient of a polynomial function. Identify the degree, leading term, leading coefficient of the following polynomial functions. Well, let's start with f of x. Let's shift this down a little bit so we can kind of work with one at a time. All right, so what do we need? The degree, the leading term, the leading coefficient. So we need degree, leading term, leading coefficient of the following polynomials. Okay, so why don't we do this just so we could kind of go bam, bam, bam. All right, so starting with f of x, degree, leading term, leading coefficient. So we could actually start by identifying the leading term. And from there, that's going to help us figure out the degree and also the leading coefficient. So let's start with leading term first. Leading term is the term with the highest degree variable. So 3x to the power 0. All right, x to the power 0, no, or maybe it is, who knows. Next, x to the power 2. So we have this one is front runner for leading coefficient between these two right now, our leading term. And looking at this here, we have the leading term. So it has the highest degree. Again, this is x to the power 0, x to the power 2. This one's x to the power 3. So x to the power 3, we start with that. -4. Let's get it in a color that stands out a little bit more. -4x cubed. So based on this -4x cubed, that tells us the degree. Terrible arrow. So that tells us the degree, which here we have x to the power 3, degree 3. So degree 3. And leading coefficient is a coefficient in front of our leading term. So the leading term here, -4x cubed. Our leading coefficient here is going to be -4. And there we go. So this right here, all of this information tells us our end behavior. So let's be little experts here. Leading term here, leading degree. Degree being odd, that tells us that we have our little cactus looking situation. As we go further and further left, so as we go further and further left, we go further and further down to -infinity. But our leading coefficient of -4 tells us that it's in reverse. So as we approach, as x approaches -infinity, our function approaches positive infinity. And as x approaches positive infinity, our function approaches -infinity. So all of this we gathered from this information right here. Pretty amazing if you ask me, but let's continue. Okay, g of x. Starting off with our leading term, we're going to look for the one with the highest degree. Highest degree, t to the power 5. Oh, that's a pretty good one. T to the power 2. Next, t to the power 1. Nope, it looks like this one here is going to be our leading term, the one with the highest degree. 5t to the power 5. From here, we could tell what our degree is. T to the power 5, so we have degree 5. Lastly, leading coefficient, it's a number in front of our highest degree, 5. So lots of 5s here. So odd tells us that we have our little cactus going in this direction. Actually, it's not even that whole thing. We know that we do something like this, that 5 being positive tells us that we have this. So as x goes to negative infinity, so as x approaches negative infinity, our function f of x also approaches negative infinity. And as x approaches positive infinity, our function f of x also approaches positive infinity. There we go there. And now we have one more that we could do. H of P. So H of P, we're going to look for the leading term first, and that's going to help us out with the degree and also the leading coefficient. Leading degree is 6P, so P to the power 1. All right, looks pretty good so far. P to the power 3, could we beat it? P to the power 0, so that one's out as well. It looks like P to the power 3 is going to be our leading term. P to the power 3, that's it. Just kidding, we have that negative. So that negative definitely is attached to that P to the power 3, the negative in front of it. So we have negative right there. Degree is the degree of our variable. So P to the power 3, degree 3. Lastly, leading coefficient. Leading coefficient is whatever we have in front of it. So it's not just a negative, it's going to be a -1. We just don't write the 1 because 1 times anything is itself. It would just be kind of annoying having this instead of this. This one looks prettier. And that's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Otherwise, bye.